Therefore, effective immediately, I am canceling the last administration's completely one-sided deal with Cuba. Our new policy begins with strictly enforcing U.S. law.
I'm sure we've all seen that video of Trump talking about canceling whatever deal the last administration had between the U.S. and Cuba. Now, the part that's really annoying to me, outside of the fact that he's just a tyrant and he's just trying to do whatever he can to cause chaos everywhere, now it appears that Jamaica is getting wrapped up into this mess. Cuba and Jamaica are neighbors. Jamaica and Cuba is separated by, I believe it's 90 miles between us, 90 miles of ocean between Cuba and Jamaica. And we've been working together when it comes to the healthcare system here. As most of us know, the healthcare system in Jamaica is not great. It's subpar. There's a lot of things that needs to be fixed as far as the hospital systems, the amount of doctors and nurses, the quality of the care, the quality of the place that we go to. Like, I've been to the hospital close by and I don't recommend. Like, unless you are in dire need, find some other method for healthcare is basically the point. But Jamaica and Cuba has been working together when it comes to the healthcare in Jamaica. There's been a lot of Cuban doctors that has come to Jamaica to help us with our healthcare systems. Now, where the U.S. is starting to play unfairly and including casualties into their BS that they have going on, is the fact that they have basically now kind of put a threat out there to Jamaica that if we continue to accept Cuban nurses, that they're going to impose some economic constraints on us. Now, obviously, that leaves Jamaica with some choices that Jamaica has to make. It's either one, we take care of the citizens by making sure that the already struggling healthcare system does not get even worse than what it already is, because we don't have enough doctors and nurses to take care of the people that we have now. So imagine if we're not able to get assistance from Cuban doctors. What are we going to do? We already don't have enough sufficient medical personnel here in Jamaica already. So it's either we lose the doctors and other healthcare workers that we get from Cuba, or we face economic constraints and sanctions from the U.S. Well, that puts our government in a really tight spot. And as a Jamaican that is currently living in Jamaica, I really want to see how our government handles this. Because on one side, you have to think about the citizens of Jamaica, because at the end of the day, we live here. We live here. We need the medical care. I understand that, Jamaica relies a lot on the U.S. when it comes to the economy and goods and services and certain things. But do we just let our citizens just perish? Or do we figure something else out? Because right now, this tyrant is on a rampage with everyone. These people are not doing anything but trying to help us. I understand there's long-standing history, but I don't see why we needed to do anything differently than what the last administration had going. I haven't heard any negative news coming out of Cuba between Cuba and the US. It's like, why every time there's a Republican president in office, namely DJT, there's a bunch of issues when it comes to Cuba? Let the Cubans live. What have they done to deserve that? And why is Jamaica being brought into this mess? Like, why are we in this? I'm just interested in seeing how our government handles this situation. Because either way, there's going to be some struggles, whether it's some economical struggles or some detrimental struggles when it comes to our healthcare system that is already crappy. Like, I've spoken about the healthcare system here in Jamaica before in a video. It's not good at all. There's so much that needs to be done with our hospitals. It's underfunded. We don't have enough nurses or doctors. Like, when you go to the hospital, the level of care that you get it's not good. So imagine if we already was having help and it was not good. Imagine what it's going to be when we don't have any help. So as Jamaicans, I would be worried about what decision our government is going to make. Are they going to be okay with us suffering because we can't get the health care that we need here? Or are they okay giving in to the U.S. request to send the Cuban doctors and nurses and healthcare workers back to Cuba? Well, are we going to be able to afford to get nurses and doctors from other countries to come and help us? Because what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I guess the next decisions will give us some insight into how much our government thinks about us and the decisions that they make. Who does those decisions benefit? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying either one of these decisions are easy decisions to make. Neither one of them is going to come without some sort of pain with it. Whether we have economic pain or whether we have people in pain, it's going to be bad. But I do think maybe it's time for Jamaica to start looking elsewhere to substantiate business relationships and economic ties and not rely so much on one single country. Because if we weren't as reliant on the U.S. as we are right now, the U.S. would not be able to come to us with this type of stuff, and we would be okay with it. They would have to think twice and come with something else. But because they realize that there's some strings attached to every single thing, they know that they can pull them strings at any time and we'll just give. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how our government responds to this.